Hello, my name's Andrew Lloyd and I'm Head of Employment Law here at Lloyd Donnelly Solicitors. Well, a compromise agreement is a written contract that you enter with your employer in order to settle a dispute about your employment. Well, you'll be offered a compromise agreement if, for instance, you've issued a claim in the employment tribunal or the court and your employer wants to settle that dispute by paying you a sum of money. You may also be offered a compromise agreement even if you've just raised a grievance about a matter and your employer wants to nip it in the bud. We've seen in recent years an increase in employers wanting employees to sign compromise agreements even before paying them a redundancy payment. Well, if you're an employee, you want a compromise agreement to make sure that your employer is legally obliged to pay you a sum of money in settlement or in compensation for a complaint that you've made against them. From your employer's point of view, it's slightly different. They want to make sure that you don't bring any further claims in the employment tribunal or in the court, or even that they don't want you to make any future claims in the tribunal or court. The important thing about compromise agreements is that in most cases they actually remove your employment rights and stop you bringing a claim against your employer. One thing you need to be careful, therefore, is that you haven't got any potential employment claims for which you could go on and receive a substantial amount of compensation. Well, we at Lloyd Donnelly Solicitors appreciate that this can be a very unnerving time for most people. They're facing sometimes the prospect of being out of work. What we do is listen to the employee and ask them about the circumstances which led to them being offered a compromise agreement. We try and identify all potential claims that an employee may have against their employer, and then we advise them on what compensation they're likely to achieve if they were successful in one of those potential claims against their employer. The good news is no. In a lot of cases, we've been able to negotiate a far better deal for our clients than what was previously offered to them by the employee. Unfortunately, employers tend to start off offering employees with a lesser amount, and we're able to get that amount up quite substantially in some cases. Oh well, this is a tricky one. Some parts of an amount paid under a compromise agreement are subject to tax, things like holiday pay, wages, notice pay in some circumstances. Other payments, such as compensation for loss of office, for instance, or an injury to feelings award if you've been discriminated against, they're not subject to tax, and they're tax-free up to £30,000. Now, we at Lloyd Donnelly Solicitors over the years have mastered some techniques to get some of those payments paid tax-free, even larger payments over £30,000. Well, in most cases, no. The good news is that employers are quite often willing to pay for an employee's legal costs for a solicitor to advise them on the terms of the compromise agreement. Now, we at Lloyd Donnelly Solicitors offer an initial free chat, so please feel free to pick up the phone and we'll be happy to talk you through the process free of charge.